So we welcome all of you to an entrepreneur's ministry. We're super excited to be here and equip the kingdom with what we have in store for you guys through him. I am Julia Ann Simpson. I am a self-published author. I will also be publishing with TBN here by the end of this year. I am a grad student at Regent University, just finishing up my master's program. And then in the fall, I'll be starting my PhD. I'm also a Christian life coach, which is my women's ministry, and a single mom. So life is busy, but we're all called to be here. So I'm super excited to see what the Lord's going to bring to the table today. So. It's our walks, it's our journeys. I call it the blessings and the processing, and we are called to do something, that we listen and just step forward in faith. That faith isn't blind. A lot of people say blind faith, but no, the Lord will call you to do something, but he doesn't call you to be blind. Jesus said, I'm your friend. I will talk to you. I will tell you things if you ask me. And you think of Peter was the only one on the boat that had enough faith to step out on the water. And when his eyes were on Jesus, he was standing on the water. He was walking on water. It wasn't until he looked down that he fell. We have all been called to use our gifts and talents to navigate what those look like and to use them for a greater purpose. Having a business is a ministry. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit. When the Lord told me that I was supposed to be a life coach, a lot of people use their own names. And I was like, I don't want to get lost in what that could look like, because we fall when it becomes about ourselves. And I was so afraid of that. And so I told him, I need to have a name of the business. And he told me that he gave me the name when I was in the shower and everything else was quiet. I heard him in the shower and I ran out still with shampoo in my hair to make sure that name wasn't taken already. Intentionally focused. And it couldn't have been more perfect for me, but also for those people that come to me, because it's if we're intentionally focused. If we keep our eyes on him, if we walk forward, is that choice. God gave us choice every day. We have a choice. What are we going to be doing? But thankfully, he knows when we're actually going to step forward, right? He knows when we're going to be pursuing those things. And so it's really important for us to be able to come alongside of one another, to lift that up, because really that's what the body is supposed to be. We're all body parts. But when we're able to do things together in a way that lifts each other up and get that blood flowing to the next vessel and get it to the next part, that's when we can work the way that we're called to work. And that's when we can really be able to grow the kingdom the way that we've been called to grow it. There's been a few things through this time together that the Lord really wanted me to navigate on. A big part of it is alignment. Whenever I pray, the past 8 years, 10 years, actually now, it's been praying on, Lord, if it's not of you, I don't want it. I want to be in alignment with you. If there's anything in my home that's not of you, let it be gone. Let it just be completely obliterated. We have to speak out that way. That way we are giving him permission, because that's the whole point to prayer. Is God isn't forcing himself on us. He's inviting us, but we have to invite him in. We have to stand on that truth. So with that, we also have we have to hearken our ear and have discernment and know whose voice is saying what. I learned the hard way. In 2014, I was in 2 car accidents within a week. Same intersection, same day of the week. The first one was just bumper to bumper. And I couldn't go to my normal job, but I was doing, sales on another platform. So I decided, okay, well, I'll really focus on doing that because that's what I really want to do anyways, right? Like I want to be empowering people with this. I was working with ViSalus, and it was healthy shakes and getting people healthy. And I love the mission behind it. And that next week I was sideswiped, and that accident shifted my whole life. And I mean, it took even just a couple years just to figure out what was going on. I have torn ligaments in my cervical spine. And so it's really dangerous for me to do certain things because it can pinch my brainstem. I also have a minor brain injury. But in the midst of all that, I never realized how smart I was before until I couldn't use parts of my brain. And that is a God thing because I literally can do what I'm supposed to be doing. Creating this business, I really had to outreach. I really had to find people that were in alignment with God and what He wanted my business to look like, because I can't do technical things. There are some things that overwhelm my brain. And so I've really learned how to hearken my ear to be able to, if it's overwhelming me, that's not for me. And I'm supposed to find the right person. And doing that, we're able to network. We're able to connect to the body the way that we're supposed to connect to the body. We're able to gain those resources that we need to be able to step forth and be able to share them. So the next person that's doing the same thing, we can help them understand that time is more valuable than money. Yes, we need money to survive, especially in the country that we live in. However, time is more valuable. There's always another way to earn another dollar, but you can never get that time back, right? And that's part of the seminar, is to be able to get some of those resources, get some of those things that God's trying to tell you to do, to equip you to what you're being called to do. And I'm hoping, with everybody speaking something, that you've been able to receive at least 5 things is the number for grace. So I'm praying for that. But even more, the number 8 is new beginnings. And I'm just praying that the Lord breathes on your ministry that you're being called into, in your business. I'm praying that you just get to have Him come alongside you and coming in alignment with other people that are kingdom oriented. That's so huge. Who you come aligned with is what your business is, the spirit that's going to be over your business, right? If you think, oh, this person does really good, but they don't really know the Lord, do you really want that spirit within your business helping you with those pieces? There's a difference between sowing seeds and coming in alignment with the world. There's so many ways of entrepreneurship today with online and all these courses and all these things, but is it kingdom focused or is it self-focused? There's just so many different directions that we can take the seminar, but really I want to pause now. And like a few of the people here know, I do some breathing exercises. And now that you've had all this food that has fed your minds, the fruitfulness of all the pieces of everybody else here, I want you to get recentered, and we're just going to refocus it so it can be focused on what the Lord's telling you, on finding your gifts, and just equipping you in your ministry and how we can go forward. Okay. So through pain management, I have learned to breathe correctly. And so I have equipped many of my clients with this. I believe will benefit you no matter where you're at. But what you do is you'll breathe in through your nose, you'll hold it for 5 to 10 seconds, and then you breathe out through your mouth. And so it's just going to recenter you. It allows you to have the oxygen to your brain so you can respond rather than react. And this will really help strengthen your ministries, your businesses, because you'll be able to be responsive and be able to hear the Lord better if it's really a God thing or it's because you're trying to just do it, right? So we'll go ahead and do 3 of these breaths together. So first, in through your nose. And release. Okay, and again, in through your nose. And release. Now last time, in through your nose. And release. All right, now that we're recentered, I want to thank all of you guys for being here and get to this next piece here. But I want you to know how loved you are, right? You are a child. We are all brothers and sisters here. You are a child, God, and whatever He has for me, it doesn't take from me being able to equip you with the same tools, right? Actually, it blesses me to bless you. And I want you guys to really understand that it's when we are able to come together and share our stories and share our gifts that we're restored. When you're doing what you're called to do, it's not work. And so as we continue to this next piece, I want you to think about that. When you're doing what you were called to do, when you're using your gifts for something bigger, it's equipping you with so much more. Okay. So if you guys have a piece of paper, I want you to write down, whether it be a picture or words, what your best day looks like. What do you feel most fulfilled doing? You know, and you can encompass both your professional and your personal life in that, because really you're one person, you're not a split personality. They overlap. It's a part of who you are. So just write down what that really looks like for you. When you're listening, you know, when you're in tune to what the Lord's saying to you, you're really able to navigate what's of God and what's not of God, right? So I'm actually Torah observant. So I really learned a lot on the Jewish side of Jesus, of what a lot of the context to a lot of the scriptures. And when you're in covenant, when you're in alignment with the Lord, when you're centered, that's when you are your authentic self. That's when all the lies and identities that we take on from the world are released from us. That's right. We can really come in tune to who we are, our purpose, and our identity in the Lord, because it's really who we were created to be. We weren't created, the world wasn't created for us. We were created for the world. We were created to come here and to serve others with our gifts and passions and be able to equip them to be able to do the same. So that way more people can be saved. That's our whole being, that it's, you know, everybody has, and we might have similar gifts, you know, but we're going to use them differently. We're going to connect to people differently. It's the greatest gift to be able to empower people, and not like the world where we get jealous and think of how entitlement or anything like that. We get to actually embrace what that really looks like. That's what we're here for, right? We're building each other up. And that's one of the great things about this too. It's even though these are tools that I use in my with my clients, I'm not going to connect the same way that you will to your client, right? Like I'm called to serve certain people, and that's beautiful. But I'm a single mom. There's no way that I could try to coach anybody and everybody, right? Like we are knit to what we're being called to do. And so when we learn different tidbits and stuff, it's to be able to do no wrong as we're called to do as practitioners, right? We're to really be able to use it to serve others. And so I love that we're able to even do some of these seminars where we really get to glean from one another and really encourage each other. I've had times where, I've really prayed where I'm like, I kind of just want to write and just be to myself. And then I get on a coaching session and the Lord just, those confirmations that we're doing what we're supposed to do. Because afterwards we feel filled up. Like we have more energy. We have more insight into what we're supposed to do. Right. I had one of the first seminars we did with Curio, Shannon and Keisha. They really, at the end of it, they're just like, this is where you're supposed to be. And it's been such a fun journey, because when I had met with the founders of Curio, that's what the Lord kept telling me to do was seminars, and we're in our field experience. And so it's been really cool to see how the Lord would mold that in this direction, and to be able to actually get to know each of these amazing people and their stories and their gifts. Because, as entrepreneurs, we need to be able to refer people other areas, right? It's really important to network. It's really important to, if the Lord's telling us, you need to connect with this person, be able to actually do that because we know them on a personal and professional scope, because there's a lot of storytelling in what we do. Part of our stories are what connects us. That's why the Lord uses people throughout scripture, is because that's what connects us and helps us communicate best with those people that we're being called to communicate with. And that kind of comes alongside Charnice and Kingdom Connections. It's really important for us to be able to have that network, to be able to come in alignment with people that can help build up your business as a ministry, because the spirit behind it, right? There's that spiritual warfare. A lot of people try saying, well, once I get there, I'll be able to pray more, or I don't know how you still have like so much faith when you've gone through all these different things. It's when we go through things that equips us for the next thing that we have to do. After my car accidents, 2 months later, I found out I had cancer. And so for me, I kind of already knew I had cancer. I came to the Lord with it, and I'm like, just use it for your glory. And so when my best friend came home, because we were roommates at the time, and she's like, did you hear the news yet? Did you did you get the answers? And I literally laughed while she was crying over a diagnosis. But because for me, this is equipping me to be able to help somebody else, because I knew the power in our testimonies. I knew that it would just equip me and allow me to reach another person. And so when we come at it in that direction, when we go through all these things, because when we are pursuing what we're supposed to pursue, there are going to be those bumps. There are going to be those hurdles we have to go through. There could be sicknesses. There could be somebody having all of a sudden to have a surgery. I mean, you never know what's going to be happening, or if it be a family member. But when we come at it knowing that the Lord is going to be able to use it and proclaim that and tell him to use it, that's when we actually get to grow that much more. There are blessings in the processing that help us get to who we're supposed to be. And it's by our stories, it's by our journeys, even in the midst of creating our businesses. Like that's a journey, creating a business and learning different routes of and platforms to use. There's so many platforms, and when we get out to the breakout part, we can actually discuss some platforms that some people use, but we also have to understand that one platform will not be the best for another person. For me, I've really had to pray on things that are going to be simple to use because, time is more valuable. I have a lot to juggle. And then with my minor brain injury, there are just some things that just overwhelm my brain. And so understanding our limitations are really also God's guidelines. If I do too much, my flare ups, I will not be able to do much for the next 2 days. And it's not worth it to me to come out of obedience, right? If I just listen the first time, it'll flow so much better. But when I try taking on way too much, it's not pretty and it's not God ordained. And so I want to go ahead and let you guys do the breathing again. And I want you to think about the things that you are doing and what brings you peace and what doesn't. What things are you taking on that you aren't taking on that maybe we'll be able to have resources when we come into the breakout sections, okay? So let's go ahead and do 3 more breaths, and then I'll have you write down all the things that you're doing. Then we'll take some breaths again, and then I'll have you, then we'll start weeding some of that out for you, okay? So breathe in. And out. And one more, breathe in. And out. Now I want you to make your list of all the things that you're doing right now, all the roles that you've been taking on. Just make that long list, and then when you have it done, just let me know with a thumbs up, and we'll move to the next part. And understand that anything that you write down, nothing's wrong, right? I just want you to write it all down. I want you guys to be able to be as transparent with yourselves as possible. So write it all down because there's no judgment. This is for you and your growth. Awesome. So now I want you to circle the ones that give you peace. And you need to understand that sometimes, even though we're called to do certain things, there can be anxiety. So those pieces, I want you to put a star next to. So you can have, some of them might have a star and a circle, and some might just have a star. And then just give me thumbs up when you have it all. But I want you to go ahead and take a deep breath while you're doing this as well. So again, in through the nose. And release. So we'll first go ahead and talk about the ones that you've taken on, that the Lord has led you to, but you might have anxiety. And we have to breathe through and understand that usually it's because you're taking on the whole thing and you're not meant to be doing the whole thing. I know we're all guilty of this because we're so driven. When we become so passionate about something, we want to do it all, right? But there is a timing that we're supposed to do it. We're not supposed to do it all at once. And that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from. And then some of the other anxiety comes in because we're not delegating the way that we should be. And I've learned both of these the hard way. So some ways that we can really just be able to navigate what that um, is, and you can work on this later, or you can message me later and we can do it together. Um, making a list of all the things, the breakdown of what that goal, of what that piece that the Lord has planted on you, and be able to break it down. And once it's broken down, do that same exercise of breathing and navigating. What pieces do you have peace about? And the ones that you don't have peace, then delegating those pieces to the person that's supposed to be doing them, because we are not meant to do it all by ourselves. The Lord was so specific in that, where we are able, but we're also supposed to have the fellowship in it, right? We gotta, living in America, we're so driven that we miss the blessings in it. Does that make sense? And we can get into that a little more later. I want to get to the pieces now that you circled, the ones that bring you peace, that the Lord, those are where the Lord is highlighting elements for you. This meme that I saw probably about 6 months ago, and there was this person that's praying and praying and praying over this plant that they planted. And then on the other side was the person that prayed and was working to harvest that plant that they planted, and which one actually became a fruit tree was the one that was harvested. If the Lord answered everybody's prayers to become a millionaire, they would miss the blessings, that processing, that they would actually be able to not just manage it, but to actually be thankful and to walk in it, right? Go big or go home. I say that a lot. It's like, if you're going to be in, be all in, be consistent. You gotta show where your heart really lies. And that's priorities. I mean, priorities is really where you can show somebody where their heart really matters and how you're living every day, personally and professionally. There's alignment there. It's an overcovering. There's not a disconnection from work and home when you're doing what you're being called to do. So that actually, the last piece I had was humility. A lot of people don't understand what humility really means. The worldview of humility is to decrease yourself. But God's view of it is to decrease your spirit so that way his spirit can manifest through you. And through that, he's the one who highlights you. There's a difference between being world ordained and being God ordained. There's scripture that backs that up, where the humble will be exalted and those who exalt themselves will be humbled. It's because when our spirit is lessened, he is able to be more. And when he's able to do that, our spiritual gifts are what connect us to the Lord. It's where the Lord highlights us, because it's where he increases who we are in him. And that's not discussed enough, that the quality of doing things when it's ordained, when it's your God-given talents. Our talents and gifts come from him. We were told when we were little that you can do anything, you can be anything that you want to be. And then all of a sudden you get through school, and then I thought I was going to be a guidance counselor because I was so sick of how broken the system is. You get to high school, and then it's, well, what are you going to do afterwards? Are you going to get a job? Are you going to go to college? You're going to join the military. There's so much more than that. There's so much more than that. And our public schooling has really killed people, their spirits, and who they were called to be. Our dreams really came from God. And we can create those to be any job, especially in the world that we live in. Like, entrepreneurship is huge. It's ministry. Somebody can go and build their own business. Somebody can work for somebody else. Somebody can go on a mission trip. There's so much that somebody can do. And unfortunately, it hasn't been highlighted, and it hasn't been highlighted enough in the church. Everybody's gifts and talents can be a business. That's the whole point to this seminar, is walking in it and coming in alignment with others and to be able to share our testimonies and what that looks like for all of us. We all have our own business, and it's our ministry, it's our passion, it's where we're equipped with our passions, our function by our gifts and talents and what the Lord has breathed into us, right? And so I really am so thankful that everybody was able to get on tonight, and to be able to share their talents and their stories with everybody here. We're going to go ahead and close this part off. We're going to do the breakout rooms. And for everybody else listening, I just want to go ahead and pray over you. So if we can all bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you and come to you and ask that for the alignment of this person listening, that if anything is not of you, Lord, that it be exposed, Lord, and that they have the courage enough to say, I choose you, Lord, and I'm going to walk by that. I ask that anything that's not of you just be taken from their homes, as you are their vessel, as you are their source, Lord. And I pray for blessings over their businesses and convictions when they aren't in alignment, Lord, that they just come back to you. Because when it's done with you, Lord, it's so much greater and so much more blessed. We just praise you for this time that we've all had together. And thank you in the processing that we've been able to have in the midst of all of it, Lord. In your holy name we pray and praise you. Amen.